Hello and welcome to Resolve, an after-play show. This is an after show for a role-playing game that does not have an actual play, where we tell you all the details of our game so you don't have to listen to it. I'm Sammie, I'll be your host. My pronouns are she, her, and I play Asiri Amoli, the mermaid. Joining me today is my wonderful co-host, Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex. I use he, him pronouns. I play Moogle bounty hunter Smog and his Malboro companion Juice. Both use he, him pronouns.
We are joined today by Daniel.
Hi, my name is Daniel, and I am the game master for this campaign. My pronouns are he, him.
All right, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Now that we're all here, Alex, please tell us what the actual play was.
Previously, in EFFETE, Asiri disappears after Tau. Athenos, Geyser, Smog, and Juice give in to another pull to follow. As Pony and Horsefly return to the woods to hunt, a storm brews. Both strike at a shadowy, humanoid figure before it runs off. Pony gives in when she feels another pull. As the party appears in the world of the lost, they notice everything has a strange, shifting texture. They are missing all items but their clothes. Valentine, a large stuffed bear, introduces himself to the party. They share notes from their Master of the Lost by shooting arrows into trees. Athenos opens a path to strange animals that he, Smog, and Juice kill. Geyser wanders off, attempting to re-enter material space, but is ambushed by a large neon scorpion. She fights it off and receives help from Tau, Asiri, and Pony. Smog reverts to a strange, fey-like Moogle while casting a spell without rig. Athenos builds a fire to roast the animals. Valentine asks Athenos about the animal stomachs, and he finds one the master seems to want. More animals, attracted by the party's activity, fly in. Calling on the Abyss, Asiri brings everyone back to the world of spirit. They awake by the campfire from the previous night. Pony and Juice look for Horsefly. Asiri and Geyser rest by the fire. Athenos, Tau, and Smog approach the church, where they hear rumors of Dr. Acula trapped in sleep. All right, that's the actual play as I saw it. Anything to add to that?
Nope, and what we're missing we'll get into right now, so... Let's do our deep dive into the session. All right, so this last session was an adventure.
You guys made it to the world of the lost. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. So when I put out everything, obviously the story is completely non-linear once you guys are situated. I didn't know what order you guys were going to do this in, but you all happened to pick probably one of the fastest routes to figure out this sort of aspect of the things.
Yeah, you told me outside of game that we selected a World of Spirit, which was the quote-unquote weirdest one to start with. Is this part of what that means?
This shouldn't be too much of a surprise, but one of the whole sort of concepts behind the World of Spirit is it's like a whodunit, a multi-night werewolf. There's something going on, and it's going to be going on every day. The caveat is that going through different days entices and increases the chance of entering the world of the lost.
Yeah, it's still unclear if the Master of the Lost is antagonistic to us and it was opportune in using us to fulfill some sort of task. Did send a cute little minion to make sure we got out in time after using us to do a task.
Yeah, I don't trust either Valentine or the Master right now, but I'm sure we'll learn more about them going forward.
I anticipate it's going to be a little piecemeal for a while with that, but that's all I'll say.
Smog was the only character to attempt to make a link with the Master because there's something slightly different going on with Valentine and his relationship to Valentine, whereas I think most other characters were like, well, Valentine is an emissary of the Master, and therefore Valentine's relationship colors what I think about the Master as well.
Yeah, remind me again, what was Smog's impression of the Master?
I picked a Dark Link, but it's
Yeah.
more fear than rivalry or antagonism that he feels on his part. This is something that seems to be like a deity, similar to an Esper for him. And even though for other people the messages might seem cryptic, the responses that Smog got back seemed very direct but also not useful, which is completely different than what he's used to experiencing when he has his dreams of Alexander, which are cryptic but are supposed to be helping him.
It's sort of an inversion of that kind of relationship.
I don't know if Asiri has thought hard about the Master's position in all this. I think they were too caught up in the moment to really have more insight to the overarching scheme here. But she did do a Dark Link with Valentine, because Valentine makes them very uncomfortable. Everything that they did during the sequence we were in the World of the Lost gave her the worst vibes imaginable. And to sort of play off of what Alex just said regarding Smog, the Abyss, for her understanding, and she's still learning it to be fair, but the Abyss is also very subtle, but generally helpful. If not helpful, then true, I guess makes sense. The Abyss keeps everything balanced and regular in the ocean. The fact that this dude is basically a fortune cookie shooting arrows into trees, giving us really weird direct messages on notes, it rubs her the wrong way. And the entire presentation of the information that was given was not good.
Yeah, there's a way in which that presentation rocked Smog as well, because, like, ostensibly in his world, Muggles are supposed to be a bridge between the Espers and the mortals, and that is ostensibly what Valentine was doing for us, but it was much more direct. It seemed like a very powerful connection in that way. And Smog's just like, oh fuck, am I actually doing anything compared to this teddy bear?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you had like a heart link. Talk about like direct. Valentine was literally firing what they were supposed to deliver into nearby trees and whatnot to convey those messages.
Literally, Tao and Athenos were asking Valentine questions, and he was just like, and then pulled out an arrow, fired it into the tree. He looked so despondent from his career choice.
It also seemed like there was some way in which the Master was able to communicate to Valentine, but not directly to our questions, where they would just hold up the quiver to their ear and get a message, but that couldn't be used to answer our questions, I suppose.
It's a very good thing that you noticed with that. They listened into their quiver and they heard something. What it was, who knows?
I don't think this is quite a conspiracy corner, but like if I have to relate it to, I did some little wee-woo air signs. I'm not going to go completely there this time. It does make me think a little bit of, and I don't think you would know this because I don't think you've seen a ton of like Critical Role, but the concept of the gods in Exandria, which is the world of that series, is that they are closed off behind a sort of magic veil that they have to pour their magic from, so that they can't intervene in the lives of mortals directly anymore, so that the gods can't war on the material plane. So I wonder if Valentine is not just a messenger because it's handy, but because they have to be to get something to us.
All I can say is it's something you're going to have to find out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it.
What Valentine is doing. I was hoping that I would get the reaction that I did from you guys for the World of the Lost. It's definitely meant to be quite a strange place.
Aesthetically, I am infatuated. I love the idea of us being physically there, but also our textures sort of corrupted with different aspects of our identities sort of plastered on us, like literally wearing your heart on your sleeve in one regard.
Yeah, what did you guys think about the sort of images or remnants, what have you, sort of bubbling up from everyone?
I don't think we were there long enough to really go into that. I think we got the base surface layer. I wonder if the longer we stayed, more internal, deeper sort of imagery would rise to the surface, because, you know, on the external, Asiri had, you know, seashells and like jellyfish and things that she's already associated with, but there's a lot more underneath there that I think would bubble up, as it were.
Potentially you could find something or learn something by looking deep into the weird textures.
Well, maybe if you're repressing something, then sure, you could learn something, but perhaps for other people to learn about you.
Okay, yeah.
Speaking of repressing something, I, as a player, latched on to that very hard and was like, yeah, you're starting to see Smog lose his clothes, even though everyone else is getting them. And it was tilting harder into physical appearance changing for Smog.
I just gotta say, that sort of blew my mind as you were describing that. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, that is definitely not something that has happened in, like, any of the Final Fantasy games, correct?
No. There's some stuff where characters are able to transform, especially in some of them, into other iconic Final Fantasy heroes or something. But I mostly wanted to play with, it's a dream world-ish, but it's also a little like fairy-ish. If Geyser is only having colors change here, if it's not affecting her as much because she is of dreams, and as far as the mythology of my Final Fantasy world is concerned, Moogles were originally of dreams, of magic. I think this has to hit Smog harder as sort of an opposition to Geyser.
It did seem to me like it was a type of almost primal state that a Moogle could be in, which is the very traditional, very, I guess you would say, spiritual embodiment of what a Moogle might be.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
I also wanted to play more with the concept of being lost. So I hope we get to go back there again, but I wanted to have this sort of double-sided thing of Smog losing himself and recovering something that he considers lost for Moogles.
Potentially seeking something out in that world, or
for some more shenanigans to happen again, for that to happen again, and someone else to notice, because I wanted to play very hard into Smog doesn't like having to use the magic without Rig, and it changing him there did not make him happy. It made him say Kupo, which I very purposefully haven't done for the rest of the game, and I was happy to find some reason to do it and then explain why I'm not doing it elsewhere.
Yeah.
It certainly left him in a very vulnerable state, because he only did this once everyone else had left. The only person nearby was Athenos, who was busy, so he wasn't paying attention. So he sort of drifted off to a side corner and started doing this magical circle and subsequently regressed. Did he know that was going to happen, or did he figure something inside of him just didn't want that primal thing to be seen?
No, I don't think Smog had any idea that was going to happen. It's just that having to do magic in the old ways made him connect to that part of things. Not having Rig around forced his hand. Because people were getting hurt left and right. He was like, fuck, I have to cast a heal magic, or these people are going to just stop existing in the middle of a dream or something.
Why did Smog feel the need to do that? Because normally he's a mercenary, he's for himself. Why did he feel the need to help the rest of the party?
The big factor was Pony. That's the relationship that he and Juice have latched onto the hardest. Her getting hurt before she's able to reach any sort of potential when they've just started on this path towards her gaining more power would be a waste.
Why was Smog okay with Valentine seeing all of this? Because you mentioned that you didn't really care, what Valentine was doing, whether or not they were around seeing Smog do this or not.
As part of why I chose the Heart Link, Valentine feels like a peer to Smog, where everyone in the party feels more on the side of, oh, this was a mortal I would have to talk to in my world, or holy shit, there are espers here.
How was it experiencing your bubble being gone and being able to just move freely without water?
As I roleplayed it out, she wouldn't have noticed it because it's a dream state. It would be to her the exact same as if she was just in the deep ocean sea anyway. There's no bubbles down there other than maybe like a deep ocean vent squelching up some gas or something. It's just the way we move through air to her. So I don't think she noticed it until it was pointed out because it felt natural. She just assumed she had water there.
What is Asiri's people's sort of relationship to dreams?
It's complicated. Asiri only sleeps with half of her brain. A lot of sea creatures enter like a rest cycle where it's like you're still aware so you don't get eaten or like hurt or anything, but you're still resting. I don't know if I could describe it as dreaming in the same way that humans dream. I would say it's definitely a lot more lucid because you're still somewhat aware of what's going on, but you're also completely lost. There's a lot of connection there between their gods, what's going on in the world around them. It's a very primal experience. If you're going to get an answer to a question, it's going to happen while you're resting, which is why once they got back, she immediately started meditating because A, she internally used a lot of power, and then B, she was just looking for an answer. She just wanted to have a moment of focus and clarity to figure it out. Dreaming for a Ciri is a sensitive thing. If she gets more messages, or this is another way to connect to the world of the lost again, I think she might hesitate sleeping as often. It disturbs her.
We did see a lot of burrowing animals, land animals, flying animals. Nothing that was deep sea necessarily, but they did have wacky neon blacklight color stuff going on. Did that make a Ciri feel like there was something familiar around at all?
I would think so, because the first instinct when they started attacking us is like, oh, I'm going to retaliate, I'm going to eat that. That is food now. So the color scheme, absolutely. I'm kind of curious if she was alone, if these animals would have attacked her anyway, because she has a similar color scheme going on. So I wonder if they would have seen her as one of them.
Yeah, I wonder if it would have been possible to avoid fighting that stuff altogether, or at least just hunting for the stomach we needed, question mark.
Yeah.
Thanos was immediately like, I need to blow open the path. And then Smog saw everyone else gearing up to fight and was like, oh fuck, I can clean up the rest of this. Rolled in on Juice, did a ground pound, smacked tentacles around.
What an iconic moment.
I was so happy everybody was screaming when I did that. No one was expecting it. Dex was like, we've entered Mario RPG mode.
Hell yeah. See, one of my goals there before you and Dex sort of escalated the situation was I immediately pushed myself to the front, entered a defensive position in front of everyone, and I was going to try to talk to everyone, all of these animals, to see if I could de-escalate, but y'all you guys charged ahead a bit too fast for me, which is fine. But yeah, I am curious to see what would happen if we could have maintained some kind of contact with what these things, if they're sentient enough to speak.
I was particularly amused by the way everyone began to engage with this world in particular, because it's much more vibrant, much more visceral than what I would say you guys were probably used to up to this point. And sort of seeing how that reflected on your character's behavior was quite entertaining. Particularly in my mind was Geyser going out and absolutely throwing down the bug that they came across. So much so they just started ripping off and eating its legs and stuff.
Oh, that fight was so nasty.
I love that. That's my favorite part about Geyser, is that she absolutely has 0% chill when she's mad. She will just go full ham and there's no hesitation.
I also love the pulling bubblegum out of nowhere, chewing it up, blowing up a bubble, and having your nice, impenetrable little pink Mew bubble going on so the pincers can't get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way Dee describes fight stuff has always been fun to me, especially when she was playing in my interstitial game and having the slightly different versions of her character, because that's how we were doing the connected playbook, I think. Always fun to see how things changed a little bit. I'm interested to see what Geyser brings around, because she always has something new in her bag of tricks.
Yeah, other than the glitter thing, which was done intentionally, I don't think we've seen Geyser use the same magic twice. Everything has been sort of off the walls ridiculous thus far.
Yeah, it's been changed up every time.
But Thanos also had some weird combat things going on. What's really funny to me is that we come in here, we've lost our stuff, but Thanos is like, well, I didn't have this before, but I magic up my bow. Because I'm a deity who has a bow. And then shoots a message in response to what Valentine's doing, and then just yells what it was so that Valentine doesn't have to retrieve it.
I think Dex was understanding that these messages might be from someone else. So I think Thanos was trying to send it directly to the master in that case. At least that's how I interpret it. And it went way off into the jungle somewhere.
Ancient instant messaging.
So yeah, when we went into combat, Thanos also shot off that bow and just did a rain of arrows down onto everyone. Oh, I do remember a question I had about Valentine. I was wondering how long they were planned? Like, did you already have an idea of who would be in the World of the Lost? Because I distinctly remember as soon as we left the chat, I think, for the previous session, I put in an Island of Lost Toys gif. Did I hit on something?
Oh.
Did that inspire something? Like, what's going on with Valentine?
I try not to say anything, but Valentine is one of the two characters that I initially thought of for the World of the Lost. It's what it says on the tin. This world is a place of lost things. And so one of the characters that I wanted to explore was some kid's little teddy bear that they might have lost at some point and has sort of come alive in this place and roams among all of the other things that have found their way there, like you all.
I do like the name Valentine and the bow. It's sort of a little Cupid imagery. It's very on the nose, but also it works.
Also generally goes by their last name, I suppose, because they got called Teddy so often that they became Teddy Valentine.
Yeah, so my brain kept wanting to also say Teddy. So maybe it'll be sort of a, one way or the other. They are a Teddy. Their name is Valentine. So if you say, hey, Teddy, then this is like, hey, you. Hey, mister.
Tao kind of took offense to Geyser being like, hey, hologram guy. I don't think Geyser has consistently used anybody's name at all, but Tao was like, my name is Tao.
Yeah. I like Tao's, what I can only describe as stubborn helpfulness when it's in these sort of situations. It's like, that's not quite correct, but this is what it should be.
I swear that when we were doing session 0 or in some sort of character creation thing, Zach did say, I want to take some inspiration from Clippy.
Yes.
Did you know that you could use my actual name in this conversation?
Did you know that you could refer to someone by their true name? I definitely recall that being the case as well. Basically, as Tao is just this digital construct that, as it gained this sort of sentience, has the motivation to just be helpful, benevolent to other people. They still do that in the face of people not calling them by their actual name.
Immediately following that, Geyser was like, I need y'all to knock me the heck out.
Oh my god, yes.
Like, we had just healed them. Assyria had just healed her, and then she was like, alright, you need to hit me real hard so I fall asleep.
Geyser was trying to navigate this world using their experience from a dream world, the world that they were initially from as an imaginary friend. They determined the difference between being here and not is consciousness. So obviously, it means someone needs to knock me out hard. And their main go-to was physical.
But the response was, why don't we just sing you a lullaby?
Yeah, Tao and Asiri sort of did a duet.
Yeah, we did a duet. It was kind of a pivotal moment for Asiri, who had previously had like a soft rivalry with Tao. But now that they were like actually working together on something, I think Asiri has opened up her mind a little bit. Be like, okay, I understand your music a bit better now. It doesn't rub me the hard way it did initially. That link changed to a heart link because now she's a bit more introspective about how her music could affect other people as Tao's does.
The end result being a kind of sleep, but more of like a sleep paralysis, just sort of freezing Geyser in place.
Which is great because Geyser is basically a sleep paralysis demon if you think hard enough. So
yeah, it depends on who you're talking to.
When you said true name earlier, that got me like spinning because we're in like a Fey-ish realm. So it's like, oh, what if Geyser operates on reverse Fey rules where someone has power over you when you use their true name?
Oh, I see. Like, that's why Geyser might be side-skirting all of these things.
You show too much care for them and they have power over you. Don't ever use their real names.
Maybe.
Honestly, that might be up to Geyser to say, but the nature of their existence is definitely tied to a negative emotional response, and I know that's certainly one way to do it is by calling someone what they don't want to be called by. What were your thoughts just with the whole entry into this place and nature of it all?
Entry was kind of weird. My mind's a little foggy, but previously you'd asked Tao and Asiri about something they had lost. then like a little memento appeared before both of them to tell them to give in to whatever was pulling them there. This is not something we willingly entered by not resisting the pull, but at the same time it wasn't a pull we initiated, so it wasn't freely entered. It was very forced. But the fact that Tao and Asiri were directly told to give in, dummy, that's a very rude way for somebody to ask that. I rationalize the only reason Asiri was like, once she got the message, because as we've learned, Asiri can't read, is that, okay, this is clearly some sort of higher power, then maybe I should listen to it. Maybe it's trying to tell me something important, and who knows how important the message from the World of the Lost is. The entire exchange was not comfortable. You said it felt sort of like the regular portals we're used to, but it leaves a weird taste in the mouth.
It's not something that I think Smog is crunching on too much yet, but as a player, I am wondering what significance it has that it felt similar to the pull of going back to Sequence Charter. We speculated in the last episode if this could be why there was a blowout for one of the worlds, and the World of the Lost is supposed to be that last world in the set. Based on like what you said in session and like a little bit in this episode, I don't think the World of the Lost is connected to other worlds in this set other than the World of Spirit. But as a character, I would have no reason to think that. So there's also this issue in character of what if I go to another world and I also get swept up in the World of the Lost again because I've already been lost. In fact, this master of the Lost has told me I've been lost for quite a while, which, if that just means being out of my original world, I have been for quite a while.
Yeah.
I know Smog reacted very poorly to receiving that message. Did they interpret that as a threat?
More that idea of scope that I was just getting at. Smog thinks that the scope of this world is much bigger than he initially thought on entering. He thought, like, well, this is an area connected to the World of Spirit, and that this entity knew about not only Sequence Charter, but the time before that for Smog, at least insinuated that they did, is terrifying.
Oh, how much does the Master know, and what are they willing to tell us about that?
What even is the Master? Actually, do you guys have any thoughts about this Master of the Lost?
It's clearly the Game Master.
It is I! We sound similar.
Fuck.
Oh man, this is really gonna shake up the meta.
Damn, dude.
It's the remnants of Terra that didn't escape the game. They're manifesting.
Ooh.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Terra versus Terra.
Oh no, not
Scary,
again.
dude.
We can never escape the Terra self-fight.
I don't know if there's enough information for me to really think about what the Master is yet. I know Daniel in particular likes to play with these characters that are really behind the curtain, pulling strings and stuff based on some other writing stuff that he shared with me. But that's an archetype you like to play with.
It is a pretty fun one.
It's just a matter of why is this one here and what purpose does it serve? The fact that we got the message, you best wake up before you forget how to, insinuates something is not good here.
Yeah, what were you guys' thoughts about that last letter?
It's strange because we didn't exactly fall asleep to get there. Our entire existence theoretically should have been there. We saw Asiri and Tao vanish. Smog was very aware that we were in a conceptual space, was relating it to what he's heard of S for space, but it didn't seem like we were actually dreaming.
But that's the other thing. When we woke up back in the world of spirit, we literally woke up. So us disappearing could be an illusion.
Yeah, I don't know.
What were your guys' thoughts about the last thing that was left behind for Tao to find?
Oh, the bow?
The little bow.
What did it say on it?
The bow said, "I am sorry that you lost your dreams."
Smog was freaking out. Tao picked it up and pinned it to himself. That's the point at which Smog saw it. And he was like, where did you find that? And does that only apply to you? I didn't exactly have concrete answers. Thought it might be from Valentine or the Master. And now Smog is freaking out because he's supposed to be receiving these visions from Alexander in his dreams. He hasn't been able to talk to anybody about that yet. Probably wouldn't usually, but is now just freaking out about it, so might force the conversation soon.
Yeah.
As Ciri took a step back, A, because she was just mentally drained from the entire ordeal, but also B, when she saw that, she was like, I know I've lost my dreams. That was the entire thing that happened to me before I came here. You don't have to rub it in. I don't want to talk about this right now, so I'm going to go skulk in the corner.
Yeah, I don't think that definition of dreams would make sense to Smog. His hope is that the party from his world, the heroic party, was able to accomplish their goal and that he would be persona non grata because they won. And that was his dream, was that the Espers and hopefully people who knew better would prevail, and he's hoping that's what they are. I don't think that definition of dream would work for him, even if it might be true if he thought about it longer. For Geyser, it's pretty literal, hey?
Yeah, because they're a dream, baby. It's everything and nothing to them.
I'm trying to think if that's particularly interesting for any of the other characters. For Tau, we don't really know quite yet.
Yeah, for Thanos, it's weird. He does have a goal. He wants his lover to join him. You could argue that's a dream that they have, but does a god dream? They have wants or desires, but it's not like a whimsical thing. Like, they could just manifest something normally.
Dreams for a god are usually things that are not out of reach for them.
And for Pony, it's something that didn't ever really exist, and if it does happen, she will have to completely manifest herself.
Yeah, you're referring to their desire to become a unicorn.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, not become, but
return to being.
I say be in the most judicious way, because I don't want to say return to being a unicorn or become a unicorn when you're not one before.
Yeah.
Simply exist as a unicorn, I feel like, is the nice middle ground to get there.
They want to prove validity to their own self-delusion.
All of us kind of do, I guess, if we think about it hard enough.
Isn't that interesting? Yes.
We objectively know, because that's the word of God, the word of the player for Pony, that's the case.
Oh, yeah.
Which makes it
for sure.
Something to explore as a story beat.
All of our characters' delusions, at least. I don't want to talk about my delusions, but all of our characters' delusions are either a way to protect themselves or try to help the people around them in some way. And both of those things can be used against us and manipulated to go horribly awry. Is the Master getting fuel from preying on those fears? And is that what these animals are, trying to come and collect that?
Who knows? Something that sounds like a good question for the Master.
I'm really chewing on, because we haven't talked about much of what was going on with Pony yet. Pony still had that little dedicated scene to her and Horsefly. What the fuck is going on with the shadow creature? Is that actually the beast? Is that a red herring? I'm so surprised they actually found anything that seemed suspicious. Wow, that was a violent confrontation. My head is swirling about that.
Picture a horse with a harpoon gun in its mouth, and then a man who is also a frog with a shotgun shooting a dark shadow creature.
And then it just slams Pony into a tree and hoofs off. I was worried and confused and surprised.
Yay! I like all of those things in this world.
It's hard to say because we don't know the exact specifics of the depth of magic for the people in the world of spirit, if it is magic at all and not just something that they can do. Is this a disguise somebody's wearing? Is it somebody that's actually that strong? Is it actually a manifestation of this ulterior form of self that the Church of the Change loosely understand? It's hard. It's a little bit Scooby-Doo right now.
That's very good. That's definitely something I want to go for with this. Kind of a mystery.
Now I understand why you were immediately latched on and was like, let's have a little Scooby-Doo chase to find the ghost.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how long this world will take, but I am interested to find out how it sort of unfolds.
I mean, now that we know it might be a twofer, I expect we have some more time ahead of us. We have to get two cores, two things central to being on two different places, possibly. Yeah. Unless there's some sort of shared space here. They share a core. Who knows?
Now I'm just wondering what would happen if one of us went back alone without anybody else going with us.
Like going back to the sequence charter?
No, going back to the world of the lost without anybody else.
That's a very good question.
If it is something we're fighting on two fronts, it might be best to split up the workload, but on the other hand, you leave yourself incredibly vulnerable. But maybe that's the point.
No risk, no reward.
That's true.
What the fuck did Valentine and the Master need that stomach for?
Yeah, I think that's the elephant in the room, isn't it?
Sammie's been yelling at that since.
Because there's a lot of symbolic implications. It's silver, it's a stomach, that we literally cut it out of another creature.
Valentine was very excited to actually find the stomach there. It's definitely something that they're relieved that was obtained.
When Athenos cut open these creatures, their body parts were not where they should be.
Oh, yeah. The anatomy of these things is just real bad. It would make any biologist sort of squirm by trying to figure that out.
I am squirming.
And I rest my case.
I'm real mad about it.
Yeah, nothing looks like it's where it should be.
What if every night we still haven't found our baddie? We're just like harvesting organs. If we like really fuck up, we'd have to create a body for the Master of the Lost to come yeet the beast.
That's what I was just about to say. I'm like, we're either making like the world's weirdest haggis or like, you know, some sort of awful tripe thing. Or Teddy is building a body for the Master to just manifest themselves in. Or if there's some other like oracle thing. I don't really want to get into Harspeck's territory right now, but there could be something else going on here. But the fact that it was a specific stomach, not just any.
Now that I'm thinking about it being a silver stomach, what if we're building a robot?
I like
Building
robots.
a robot of some kind.
A robot.
We know many of those back at Sequence Charter.
Yeah, collect robot body parts. Have a little toy robot Master of the Lost.
Beep boop.
I realized that autonomous creatures and entities sort of form an almost plurality of the NPCs that I have introduced.
That's okay.
I think they're neat.
I just think they're neat.
I love robots.
Became Marge Simpson for a second.
A robot does not need a stomach. It needs an energy source, sure. That could be a battery, or, you know, if it runs on gasoline, like a storage tank, which I guess you could equate to a stomach.
It needs a chest and torso piece.
That's true. But you can have that without it being specifically a stomach.
Why is it silver?
It's a processing digestive organ. Is acid important here?
I'm sure you guys will figure it out in no time.
I need more clues. I need to flip the next card in the board game, please.
We just jump to the world of the Lost and sacrifice another villager.
Yes!
I'm more concerned with this mystery about the world of the Lost than these people's lives.
I'm getting practice.
A Siri would be like, Smog, no.
We shouldn't.
Please do not.
Speaking of losing more people and characters whose names we've forced, why did you steal Dr. Acula from us?
You stole Dr. Acula from me.
Oh, it's tragic, is it not? But it's the way that the cookie crumbles.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Take it back.
You give me this Batman back.
Okay, let me clear the room. It was not despite the name that we came up with, because I like Dr. Acula, the Bat Doctor, who is not... He's not a Dracula. Don't get it twisted. He's Dr. Acula, MD, a man of learning, who just also turns into a bat. A vampire bat.
Man of learning.
Yeah, a Batman of learning. All I'm gonna say is that it was a tactical decision.
That was my idea, is that either there's something you wanted to do in the story with that, or this is a character who would be able to help us and was thus targeted.
So I think next on the agenda, which several characters are already on, is talking to Father Shade. I keep wanting to say Shroud.
His full name is Shroud Shade, so...
Right.
Yes, keep creating repeating the character names.
Well, just every time someone says something different, I'll just add on another word to the name.
I
This is how improv works.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah, I think it's official that it's Teddy Valentine, because I'm not going to want to stop saying Teddy.
Father Shade is mighty suspicious. He hasn't been around in the last couple episodes, right? So, what is he up to? Where has he been? Why isn't he helping his flock, as it were?
Most important to me, if we're thinking about whatever is acting here, eliminating people and choosing to take out the doctor but not Father Shade, that's really suspicious.
Yes.
Why is the medical doctor more powerful in the situation than the religious leader?
Very, very good question.
Because they are one and the same.
Where were they and what they were doing were probably related to each other.
I mean, he told us that he was going to look up information, so we can be like, so what did you learn and what books did you reference?
Yeah, where are you in the archive?
Make sure we at least have access to those books and can double check that information. Not that he wouldn't have time to read it at some other point and give us something, but at least make sure he has something to tell us.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about like the state of the town right now?
People upset, yo. They're a bit scared-ed. And I feel bad for them, and Asiri probably also feels bad for them. But Asiri's also now a little bit scared-ed and upset for different reasons.
I'm so ready for them to accuse the party because we're the newcomers in town and to prove their suspicions right, even if it's not about this.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, we got a lot going on that's not great. Just a bunch of fucked up kids, huh?
Poor Susie.
Poor Susie.
You guys haven't found Susie yet.
We haven't, because we haven't had time, but I would like to find her again.
It was kind of right at the end.
I'm excited to have only Juice in a scene. Since I've sent Juice off with Pony, I think that's going to create some strange situations.
Would you go with Pony for a Scooby snack?
Oh my God. Juice being the Scooby of this.
That's so funny.
Smog is kind of a Scrappy Doo.
Oh no!
Right? If we think about it a little bit.
Smog can potentially give off Scrappy Doo energy.
Would that make a Thanos like Fred?
A Thanos feels kind of like a Fred, like a more himbo Fred.
Maybe Tao is our Velma.
Ooh, yeah. Who's our Daphne?
Color scheme wise, we have a Siri.
That's true. And then Shaggy.
Geyser.
So yeah.
I guess Pony is more Scrappy Doo-like than Smog.
Yeah, Pony is also kind of Fred-like too, huh? He's kind of running in and doing.
Does that make Smog the mystery machine?
I was just thinking that because Smog is the dark and like part of the book is like hiding the fact that you're a villain, Smog is just the villain.
Yeah, he's just the old man Jenkins in the costume.
Yeah.
I don't think Old Man Jenkins is from Scooby-Doo. I think that's from SpongeBob.
Oh, I mean, yeah, there is an old man Jenkins from SpongeBob.
I think there are two Old Men Jenkins. Alternatively, this is the Old Men Jenkins multiverse where he turns into a fish.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, God, they're connected.
Asiri has questions.
Oh, man, now I'm thinking about Siri and SpongeBob, and I'm kind of losing my mind.
That's really funny. I was just thinking about that, but we don't need to talk about it here.
It's like the movie, except it's combining the anglerfish and the mermaid together.
Smog is like an old school Disney Mickey Mouse cartoon. I think that would be his style. Tao is completely 3D rendered.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Tao is already a Vocaloid, so...
Tao is still 3D rendered as we speak.
They got that going for them.
Thanos is literally pottery, just like he was in the middle of the session because he had little pottery texture going through him.
I'm so worried for the next time we go in. I don't think good things are going to happen, which is fun. Like, me as a player, excited. Asiri, not very excited.
I could make things stupider and make Smog and Juice pixelated, because I don't think I've talked about what I think the visual style of Smog and Juice's game would be, but I definitely think it would be sort of the Final Fantasy 5-6-ish era sprite work.
In my head, I was very much imagining at least the origin world for Smog being like a Final Fantasy VI type graphics, and how the espers look in that as well. Very beautiful pixel art, I say.
Yes.
But we didn't super touch upon this when making the characters, but do any of your characters appear differently? I mean, we've described Smog's appearance as sort of modified from standard Moogle model, not in terms of like their hair coloring and their outfit, but a sort of different envisioning of the Moogle that most people are used to. But are there any like stylistic throughways with how your characters just appear anywhere they go? Or is it synchronized or assimilated with others' appearances?
I don't think for Smog and Juice, like, it would register that they visually look different in other places.
Yeah.
That's more like at a media concept level, like if they could see themselves as they were being experienced, maybe that would trigger something strange with them. But if there is a distinct visual shift, that's not something they would notice. Maybe I'm just thinking about that because that's how a lot of stuff works in Kingdom Hearts, unless there's a really hard change, like, what is it, the grid in...
Yes.
in Tron.
Yeah.
If it's something that out there, usually they notice it. Basically, it's something where they have to have a costume change.
Yeah, it's at least an outfit change.
If it causes like a cognizant shift, then I'm sure Siri would notice it. But I feel like for the most part, she's supposed to just look like a fish. It would be very Discovery Channel mockumentary 3D style for her. Or like trying to get as realistic as possible. I guess we're operating under the assumption of like a universal translator, so everyone can like, speak to each other. But a Siri's like language would be incomprehensible to the rest of the party.
I didn't know how much I wanted to mess around with people just straight up not being able to understand each other at all.
It makes it kind of hard.
It can make things a little clunky. I do have a running reason as to why that is.
Language is not something that Interstitial begs you to consider as something like D&D might.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know why it always like trips me up when I'm reading a D&D book and it's like, here are the languages that they speak here, and here's a language that someone of this race might know. Just like, oh, right, language is something that you actually play with in this game, and Interstitial does not ask you to do that.
Vampire the Masquerade is another good example of that, too. It's even a stat that you can perk in, and you can learn different languages.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of the time, it's like everyone's speaking a common language, though.
I know for the basis of Interstitial, it's not necessary, and I feel like most players probably wouldn't consider it. But it is interesting to think about, because everyone does come from such vastly different places. It could be fun to see something in either a written language or like listen to a clip of your native language and then have to piece something together from that. It definitely would add some sort of character or puzzle mechanic to the game. It's certainly something that wouldn't be out of place to homebrew something for.
Trust me, the notion is definitely considered. We did kind of touch upon that a bit, at least for a series, because they cannot read English. That's
or any language.
Or any language. But that was specifically a common language was attempted to be used to communicate to Assyri, and it did not work. As you saw, that threw a monkey wrench in what someone was trying to do.
It's a good thing that we have access to audiovisual technology from our hub worlds in that case.
Yes.
Yeah. I like how Smog brought back the camera that they used to do surveillance. Because you guys don't have inventories, but you using story elements again is very fun.
Preempting Sammie's usual last question, and I might still do this later. I was considering, before we went off to the church, having Smog tap into the camera feed from Juice and seeing what the hell was captured over the previous night, since the camera wasn't on us in that world, but we also woke up, but we should have technically vanished. Maybe that will have some sort of insight as to what was physically going on with us.
Yeah, because that's the other thing, right? Because Pony wasn't with us, and then when we woke up, they were.
Correct.
What I had Smog say when we all woke up was, I thought we forgot Pony Kupo shaking off the sort of shaking off the Kupos and like acknowledging that.
Kupo!
I love it when they can't help but let out a Kupo, but they're just so ashamed to do so.
Kupo.
Koopa.
It's like Kupo. I mean, no shit.
Koopo fuck.
I love Smog.
Smog's so good, but
What
evil.
a card.
I guess we're at about that time anyway. Sammie, was there anything you wanted to possibly do different?
I feel like Asiri is trying to reach out to her party members and is not being reciprocated. Maybe I need to try to do something different. It's not that she's being ignored, it's just she's not being heard the way she wants to or expects to be heard. Maybe I need to try some different techniques to engage with the party. Because I know at the end, as we were rolling links, Athenos now has a promise to Asiri to help tutor her. That's one of the moves that they took. Hopefully that goes somewhere, because it could very easily be forgotten.
If Athenos doesn't follow up on that, there's consequences.
That's
Yes, exactly. It's for their best interest that they keep their promise.
Good, but I don't think we've done that in character yet, so I don't think Asiri is aware of that promise.
Yeah, that's one of the stranger moves, but I'm glad that Dex has a sense of drama to pick it.
Yeah. Certainly changes the stakes.
I was looking through a ton of moves last time because I did get another advancement and I settled on another playbook move, which is Hide in Shadows. So this is like a stealthy move since nothing quite like that exists in base moves. You can use magic to hide yourself, maybe, technically, but this is a little more specific and operates on dark.
Yeah, I haven't leveled up in a hot minute. I've been rolling pretty good.
Well, a couple people made dark links, and I have a lot of locked links now, so rolling well has helped me earn experience.
Somebody's taken all the EXP for themselves.
Yeah, I don't think the dark thematically would have anything that really shares XP.
No, that doesn't make much sense.
They do have stuff that helps other people succeed because they have to be a good mentor, but actually having them learn something instead of just getting that high of doing something correctly, no.
How did y'all feel about the end scene with Asiri dragging everybody into the abyss with her?
I like when Asiri uses the Abyss.
Same.
Then it was very effective at leaving the world of the lost.
It's definitely one of the couple things that's making Smog and Juice sort of mull over that dark link they have right now. I'm not sure where it could or should go, but there's definitely room for that to change as we go forward. They seem much more interested in Asiri's capabilities, at the very least.
Good. Which is something I'm trying to play up a little bit. Asiri is very strong, but she just doesn't know what the fuck she's doing.
There seem to be ways in which she does understand what she's doing, but because of the difference in how people conceptualize it, she's not good at communicating how powerful she is, and she doesn't understand that compared to a lot of other people, she is powerful.
I don't know how much Asiri knows their own strength
Yes.
in that regard.
Very good. I'm glad. I'm glad that's coming across. I can't imagine any of that was comfortable for everybody, but you know, sometimes you have to go into the darkness to escape being lost.
Sometimes you have to get the most lost to be found.
Alright, let's get into the resolution phase, the segment of the show where we each get to say something about the game with no responses. What was your final say on this session, Daniel?
You can lose your way, but you can still get more lost. You can see me by closing your eyes really, really tight and then opening up again, and it'll look kind of like the shape that appears in front of it.
What about you, Alex? What are your final thoughts?
I have to continue my theme of starting to name corruption arcs for other characters that Smog might pursue. I think for Tau, it's actually really easy. It's the corrupted data arc. You can find me at Shining Crowbat on Twitter. I also recommend checking out Solutions and Other Problems by Ali Brosh. It is her first book of completely original work. It is exactly like the blog Hyperbole and a Half that she's done before, also the name of her previous book. And it has wacky MS Paint comics beside absurd essays. This one is very sad, but it's also the hardest I've cried being sad and laughing in the last couple months.
And for myself, I think we will soon learn the meaning of man is lost without sauce, but that same man can be lost in that sauce. And we might have to learn about the sauce the hard way. You can find me when that chill enters your bones, and then you turn around that there's nothing there, but are you really sure it's not me? I was right there, you know? This has been Resolve, an after-play show. You can find us online at most social media sites at ResolveAP.
Except Instagram, which is at ResolveAfterPlay.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. You can buy the game we're playing, Interstitial, Our Hearts Intertwined, from its creator, Riley Hopkins, at linksmithgames.com.
All links will be included in the description of the episode.
Thank you so much for listening. We end our turn here, so now it's your turn. What's happening in your game?